start talking. Hopefully that the YouTube people will now see us. Yes. All right. So welcome everyone. I guess the YouTube stream's back. We already had a Sabbath candle lighting hour hours ago. It's 3 a.m. in Jerusalem, but I really wanted to still go live at this time and share with you some things that have happened this week that are really good. Um, we had the Shabbat at Simca's house and the naked archaeologist, and he's doing 10 more episodes, which I'm so glad. He's got a passion for that. And, we talked about life and family and all those things. And so it's just a beautiful thing to have someone in Israel invite you over to their house for Shabbat. It was a wonderful Shabbat. Uh, the the only sad thing that happened at Shabbat was I know my aircraft very well, and I heard the brand new Joint Strike Fighter flying over the house, um, and they're going to Lebanon, and they weren't going there for a friendly visit. The amount of rockets that are being used in northern Israel is not being reported correctly, and they are really destroying northern Israel, the Lebanese, Hezbollah this time. So now there's a big war going on there that no one is talking about. And to hear those jets go over knowing the purpose, it kind of puts a damper on the Shabbat. If you go north, about 100 kilometers north of Simca's house, roads are closed, and they say this is a military area. It's kind of a sad thing. During this week, we went to a bar mitzvah of a good friend. His oldest son had a bar mitzvah. It was full Orthodox, and it was at the Kotel, which, for those that don't know what the Kotel is the actual place by the Western Wall where the people go to pray is called the Kotel. The Western Wall is much bigger than that, as you probably know, and then there's a male side and a female side. Of course, Atai had his bar mitzvah in the male side, and the mothers could watch from way up high, and so it was pretty interesting. They went through the official Orthodox bar mitzvah, and Atai had to read from the parsha this week. So it was really good. There were friends of the family there, soldiers with loaded guns. Usually, when you see them walking around Jerusalem with their gun, it's not loaded. These were loaded. So that kind of, makes you know that they're at war. But it was also beautiful to see when a young man becomes part of the covenant. That still is a joyous occasion, and they threw so much candy down on us, the women. It kind of hurt actually, but they throw candy, and everyone starts screaming and yelling. It was beautiful. Then what happened after that was extremely beautiful, and I want to show you a few slides about that. So, Seth, if I could get my second slide there. I, of course, have already said this today, but Shema is always spoken, and it was read there, of course, in Hebrew. But I always like to read this again. Hear, O Israel, Elohim, our Elohim. Elohim is one, and you shall love Elohim, your Elohim, with all of your heart and with all of your soul, very exceedingly. And these words which I am commanding you today shall be upon your heart and taught incisively to your children. And you shall speak of them when you sit in your house and as you walk along the way, and when you lie down and when you rise. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they will be as bands between your eyes. And you shall write them on doorframes of your homes and your gates. You shall, and because Elohim made a covenant with you in Horeb on the day of the assembly. Next slide. and it is dry here. Sorry, guys. It's very dry, and my mouth's drying up. It's the desert. Ross says usually when he wakes up before 3 a.m. in Israel, we were going on. Yeah, we just kind of came from an adventure. I had quite an adventure today, but we also emphasize, as everyone here, and as you know, the whole city shuts down, the importance of the Sabbath, the second commandment in the Moses scroll version. Sanctify the seventh day, and you shall cease on it, because in 6 days I made the heavens and the earth, and all that is in them, and I ceased on the seventh day. Therefore you shall also cease, you and your animal, and all that is yours. I am Elohim, your Elohim. So this is we're doing, um, and I will be enjoying the Sabbath when we're done tonight. I had a great time over with Simca. So this Isaiah came blasting out at me this week. So during the bar mitzvah, as I said, we went to a bar mitzvah, and they went on a tour of the tunnels. And then Simca and his wife Nicole were there because they know the same family. And Simca said, "Dave, I want you to come with me. We're going to go look at something very special." And when Simca says something like that, you're like, okay, I'm not going on I've been through the tunnels. I, like Jono, don't like some of the claustrophobic feeling I get in a tunnel. Because I'm not the perfect sized man like Ross. Um, and also it's wet and damp. And so we went somewhere, and I want to I want to read this before I show you the pictures I took from the book of Isaiah. This is American Standard Version, 20th chapter, verses 14 through 16. Wherefore, hear the words of Jehovah, you scoffers, that rule this people that is in Jerusalem. Because you have said, we have made a covenant with death, and with Sheol we are at agreement. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through it, it shall not come unto us, for we have made our lies, our refuge, and our falsehood have we hid ourselves. Thus, therefore, thus saith the Lord Jehovah: Behold, I lay, sorry, I lay in Zion for a foundation stone, a tried stone, a precious cornerstone of sure foundation. He that believeth shall not be in haste, and I will make justice the line, and righteousness the plummet, and the hail shall sweep away the refuge of lies, and the waters shall overflow the hiding place, and your covenant with death shall be annulled, and your agreement with Sheol shall not stand. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through it, then you shall be trodden down by it. Next slide, please. So we went looking for the cornerstone, and we were given a very beautiful tour. This, of course, is the Western Wall. We took this on Thursday, and you can see this has all been excavated. For those of you that don't know, the if you look up to probably 3/4 the way up the Western Wall, when the Jews captured the city in '67, the dirt and garbage was that high. So all of this, as they dig down, has been uncovered from the time of the Second Temple, and then times after that. But it's a lot of Second Temple Herodian type stuff. Next slide. So you must go deep. And I can't say everything that Simca did, but he knew some combinations, and we walked through walls that in down hallways that did scare the living daylights out of me. And go to the next slide. That's the cornerstone of the temple, the cornerstone of the foundation of the temple. It's been found, and it was a privilege to just reach out and touch it. And of course, at this time, Psalm 118 hit me. The stone which the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone. And I was flooded with just all kinds of ideas. And Simca and all of us just sat there for a moment and said a prayer, for the restoration. It was my prayer. I don't know. It was quiet. We didn't talk about what we were saying, but I can tell you, it is one of the most mind-boggling. They found this. It's not been published yet, but they've found the cornerstone, and they're quiet because the Muslims would get upset if they're digging around and find other important things for the Jewish community. And of course, having started out life as a Christian, we know that Jesus made a quote of this very vividly when he was talking to his disciples. It's really powerful for me to see that cornerstone. And there's this thing, I think, if you've never been here, and maybe if you have, if you felt this, it happens in a lot of ways. You feel this uh, that this book you've been studying and reading your whole life, these volume of books, really. The Bible is a library, bibliothèque, a Bible, and you've read them your whole life, and you've heard of these places, but when you actually come there and see these things, it's like there's this drop. It just happens, like it just hits you that this is more real than you even think that it is. Um, so my point was, at the end of the day, for me, is that I was just stunned at the the reality of the cornerstone, and for some reason, it just hit me really hard. This cornerstone thing, um, and you know, remember all the verses come flooding out, and it's something that just reminds you of what has happened. And um, you know, I thought of the people in the Bible that have been by this place. From David when he first um, came to Jerusalem. No, there was no temple, but he this was just up the city, up a little bit from the city of David. He lived here. Solomon, all the way through the Maccabees, and through the time of Jesus and so forth. To me, that was just a stunning to be near that and touch that history. And sometimes when you see something that, you know, I got emotional when I saw it. Simca told me that the one of the commanding generals of the Israeli armed forces was brought back there because it's not open to the public yet and all this. And he said, I watched the general cry. And it's how I felt. I was very emotional to touch that cornerstone and to think of the things that happened, since then, and the promises of what's to come. Um, and again, I also was reminded when I walked to the hotel, it always comes to my mind and I can't stop it. And that is, you know, 2 Samuel 7. David says, I have this beautiful place. I'm going to make God this place. And Nathan says, go ahead, David. Then Nathan has a vision, or God talks to him and said, Nathan, what did you tell David? Said, if heaven is my throne and earth is my footstool, where are you going to build a place for me? And that reminds me of the God that I want to know. Doesn't need a place like this. This is a reminder of history to me and of all the things that happened in Jerusalem. You know, it was the center for a lot of things. We're going down to the desert, and next week we'll be talking from the desert near Paran, which as Ross has spoken of, and we have witnessed, the highway that goes 90 that goes up to Jerusalem from Paran, from Eilat actually, but through a Paran is where Jehovah carried the fire law to Jerusalem. It's in the book of Numbers, I believe. I'm not sure. Highway of Holiness, Isaiah 35. Thanks, Ross. Um, the issue at the end of the day is that, but this is the center. And if we read Zechariah, we also read that, the nations of the earth are going to turn against Jerusalem, and the blood will be up to the horses' bridles. And it feels like that's happening. And there's a lot of, you know, agreement and homogeneity now in Israel. I've never seen so many flags because they're under attack, and we are very much on their side, um, and it's just a very emotional time when I go to the Kotel, and who knows what the Almighty has in store for us. There's a lot more study that everyone has to do to really understand what's going to be happening, and of course, He will surprise us, no doubt, of all those things. So I just wanted to give you I just want to give you that that feeling that ran through my head. It's so powerful when you see something like the cornerstone of the Temple Mount. And this is where they started from, and any good Mason can tell you that. But I had a beautiful time, and so many um, you know so many great people I met. I'm really privileged to know Simca because Dr. Tabor introduced me and became a friend. And he he is connected to these people, and we walk up and back. And he opens up doors, and we start walking back there, and I'm like, man, we're gonna get caught. And then he comes up to a door with a code on it, and he goes, I think I can remember the code, and he does the code, and we had and then we get to go and see this, and they weren't working that day, and all their papers are sitting right there, and they've got everything measured out. This to the right of your picture is the south of the Temple Mount, and to the left is the western. That's the beginning of the western wall. So if you and during times of the past, um, when it was used, the southern wall on the right is where the steps of ascent happened, and then there was the three doors, and that's how people used to come in, would be through the southern entrance. Now we go through the western entrance because it's just a mountain. There's no temple there. But anyways, that was to me one of the most beautiful things that I saw, and that it was privileged to see, and and like I say, it's been a long time since I saw something like that. Another thing is that we had the great walk around the grounds. They've now made it so that you can kind of have gatherings on the southern side, and the archaeologists aren't happy about that, but it's quite profitable. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, the Torah readings are shorter, and that's when the bar mitzvahs are done. Saturday, if you have a bar mitzvah on Saturday, it's going to be a long affair, and a ties was very short comparatively, about an hour, but it was still great. Then we had dinner in the Kotel, caves under, and they transform it into this amazing people, and so I that oh, there was a question. Is this looking up from the bottom of the wall? No, I'm looking down at the cornerstone. They have protective. They have a protective like flooring around it, and of course it. You could see it through a glass, and of course Simca just said, "Take the glass off." And I'm sure if they caught us down there doing that, they would have liked. but we could actually reach down and touch the cornerstone. So you're kind of looking down at it from about a foot and a half above it. But that's that's the picture there. And like I said, I was very love Simca. He's you know it's one of those beautiful things. So Miriam's also saying, Dave, is the war hindering regular? Yeah, I mean, they try to go on, but there's this sadness. Like to me, everywhere I go, I say they have a new sign that says, "Here's the bomb shelter," and it's I'm sure it's tough on the children, because you can hear it, and you'll hear the sirens go off because the um, the real danger now is from the north. Hezbollah has gotten these very accurate Iranian missiles. They're within 1 meter. They can put them in within 1 meter of accuracy, and they're they're going through and very in a very phased manner destroying all the towns in northern Israel, and it's not being spoken of. I had no idea that was going on. So when I heard those jets going over tonight, I knew exactly what it was, and they go, yeah, they're going to bomb Lebanon right now, and you're having Shabbat, and it's sad that that has to go on. So it does hinder regular life. um, the other thing I wanted to tell you, a couple of things, is that when we landed, I've never seen security or the whole customs was so open. There was no one coming in. I mean, as Ross and other people have been there many times can tell you, you usually got an hour waiting in that line. And I was in line for 1.5 minutes, and I walked through, and it was over. And when I got out there, um, I got switched to LL. So what happened is all the American airlines have stopped flying. So I was on Delta, made the trip, because of Elon's invitation, and then I did business around it. And then Delta cancels my flight from JFK to Tel Aviv. So I called them. I said, "What am I going to do?" And they said, "We'll put you on LL." So we got on LL. And of course, our bags didn't make it because they're really looking through the bags, especially from other airlines. And when we got on the plane, they handed us a card and said, "Look, we've already got this going. Your bags didn't make it. Here's what's going to happen." So we went down, and that was it. The other bizarre thing is, I got a car because I'm traveling everywhere, and there's the car lots are full, like no one's renting cars. So it's hurt the tourists people too they've been hurt because it's a big business. Tourism is a big business, and it's just not there. Uh, and I went to the Hilton Tel Aviv where we stay, and unfortunately, not many people there. And it's such a beautiful place. We would go out and look at the sea and just kind of recover. And so it was kind of sad, the whole that whole part of it. Um, but there's still a lot of traffic in Tel Aviv, and business is going on, and we I don't want to get into the business side of it, but it's Shabbat. But our business was extremely blessed here this time, and we have friends in high places that want to help us do business in Israel. So it was really powerful for me. Secondly, um, we went out to we met a real brigade of rebels that are in the IDF. And I say rebels, just hear me out. So they went into Gaza. A lot of they used dogs to kind of set up a building and sniff it and see if there's anybody in there. The first thing that started happening is these dogs would, after 2 weeks of working almost 24 hours a day, they'd lose 10 or 15 pounds, and their noses didn't work as well. And they're like, "We can't do this to our dogs. We don't have enough dogs." So they started using drones. The soldiers went to the stores and bought drones to go into these houses and do the looking. It got crazy really quickly. So this group of rebels, and I mean these guys that I went to meet, Their leader is named Ariel. He's in the IDF. He, I think he's going to be. They're going to think of him as one of the greats. So he said, "Look, we got to stop buying all different drones. We're going to buy the best drone for the." So they settled on a drone, and they bought like hundreds of them, and my company was involved with um, helping getting them this stuff with um, donors. Many famous and very wealthy Jews donated money. A drone of this type cost $1,300. And we did not make any money on this, whatever. We did it as a service to the IDF. And they made a video about us. And so they said, come and see us. So we go to this beat up camp near Modaim. It's all old, like army shelters. And out comes these guys, and they don't look like clean cut soldiers. They look messy and hairy and long hair like me. And so what happens is um, these drones, they teach them in 3 days to become expert drone pilots. And so the process there near Modaim is you come in, the next 3 days you have classes, and then in the fifth day you leave um, the base with um, a drone, and you go right back into Gaza. And the drones fly in the house, and yes, it is the home of the Maccabees. You go into the house, and they showed us videos, and there's all kinds of videos. They showed a video of this doll that was left, but it has two wires going out of it. It's a bomb. It's a doll made into a bomb. A crib was made into a bomb. And then they go and fly in this one closet, and the guy comes out shooting at him. I mean, it's unbelievable how many lives these are saving, and I'm so grateful that I'm going to be a part of this. And everyone I've told said we're buying a drone. We're buying a drone. So we have a coordinator here named Gabrielle Corey, or Gabby Corey, and Gabby is just doing this to support the IDF. So uh, we might buy drones because no one will sell drones to the Israeli military, and or they don't want them to be used for military uses. So it's not just Israel; they won't sell them to anybody that's a military. So to see what that happens, and these young guys they created this whole school, and then after that was done, the IDF comes in and says, "Oh, you did a great job," but but they were not allowed to do it, but they did it, and the success is overwhelming. So we're looking for that, them to be make it a real program, and so to become a drone pilot. So Patty got to fly a drone. We'll show you someday the video, and she's did pretty good. She got through 6 hoops. You have to go through like 120 of these hoops that they set up, so that when you can come into a room with this drone, you can look behind the TV, you can look in the closets, and it's an amazing thing. The hot shot pilot, took the drone, and I was going to do a high speed pass through a hoop, and I hit the hoop. Luckily, the drone didn't break. So Patty outdid me on that, and it was a really amazing thing. And they they just took us in. These rebels, they just took us in. I'm going into this Israeli military base. I'm not even showing ID, and he's like, "You're with me," and like the lady that came up, she said, "What are these people doing here?" And he spoke to her in Hebrew, saying they're very important visitors and we need them. And she goes, "Okay." So we got on the base, and we went through their whole lab, saw what they're doing. It's all makeshift. If you ever seen Seth's room, it's kind of like that. I mean, it's just this is my thing. I'm doing it, and it was really exciting for me, to be with these men and to know that they're saving lives. We had a great time there. Anyways, that was part of one day, and then the other thing was that obviously we went to the bar mitzvah, and I just want to dovetail back into that. We had dinner, and in the Kotel caves. So the Kotel is a lot of there's a lot more to it if you're allowed to go back there, and of course the bar mitzvah they paid for this. So at the end of the day, we went into this beautiful cave where there were hundreds of people, and uh, and they had the bar mitzvah party, uh, and they had a an incredible table settings, and Patty and I will put up some of the pictures on Discord. And I'm just such a beautiful. It's just such a beautiful experience. And and the other thing is they had a band of there was a lyre and a guy with a flute and a guy with a guitar and some other old instruments, and they were playing these beautiful Davidic songs, and then they would play some popular songs, um, but you wouldn't know it until you heard the melody. So I went up to him and said, "Do you know Ali Ali, the Hannah Sanesh uh, song?" And they said, "Oh yeah, we know it. We'll play it for you." I said, "No, no, my wife wants to sing it." And they looked at me, and I said, "Let me show you first the video that Patty did a real video on Ali Ali in Jerusalem and sang it." And they're like, "Oh, she can come up and sing it." And so Patty got to sing this for a tie and for the other soldiers. We dedicated it to those soldiers because Hannah Senish was killed by the Nazis, tortured and killed, and so it's a very honorable song. And I could not believe all these old Jews that were there started singing the song along with Patty. It was a moving experience. So we had a good time, and of course that cost Patty because tonight at Simka's house, he's like, "You have to sing that song again, but you can't play any instruments because we're Orthodox." So, so we had a great time, and unfortunately too, eh, there's just too much good food everywhere you go. So I think we're going to be fasting tomorrow. It's just so much good food, and it's so I don't know what it is, but like the bread here is just amazing. And they made a lot of Simca and his wife are vegetarians. Simca's a vegan. His wife isn't quite vegan, and so they made everything from scratch, and it was really great. But it was really much an honor. Anyways, the bar mitzvah went well, and then we go back to the hotel. And I got to tell you this little story. So I've I don't want another piece of food until like a day later, and that and the close family was sitting down when I got back there eating a pizza that they had made. I'm like, what? How do you eat like this? And the one big friend that he had was Gabe. There's one other story I got to tell you of note, and I hope it doesn't offend people of certain political persuasions. We went to a very famous restaurant the night before the bar mitzvah, in which Elon invited a few close friends. There was 14 of us. And his father, who is a phenomenal friend, and his mother, his wife, his wife's parents. It was a close family, and and I and we were sitting in a room, and there's another room with a glass wall, so you could see right sitting next to us. I said, is that Nikki Haley? And I got up and I waved, and she turned around and she waved at me. Nikki Haley was eating like 6 feet from us. And we didn't want to go mess with her. But of course, Elon's mother's wife knows Nikki Haley, and she just went in there and through security and just started talking to her. So Patty and I just waved and said, hello. It was amazing that the one restaurant they picked in all of Jerusalem, it was the Nikki Haley and a lot of other important people were there. I don't know who they were, but that was at our dinner, and you know, it is really good. Um, it's really amazing to have a dinner like that. And um, Alon and his wife were just so loving and caring. So I'm trying to, kind of take the, how Jesus said, go and stay in the back of the synagogue and don't, and here I am, you know, a, a friend of Simca. He's my, of Elon. He's on my board of directors of our company, and he said, "No, Dave, you're sitting right next to me." I mean, his wife was 3 seats away, and I said, Elon, I don't want to sit here. This is your family thing. He goes, No, no, you're sitting right next to me, and my friend Gabe. So his friend Gabriel was sitting on the other side, and we just talked about life and the world. Larry sat right next to him, and it was who's Elon's dad, and it was just we felt like we were part of that family, and his mother's something else too. We had a great time with these people. So I felt very comfortable, and like I said, uh, it was. I feel very blessed to have these friends and have Simca go take us to take a look at the cornerstone. I had no idea that's what he was doing. He goes, I got to show you new findings, and then we see this, and so it's been very good. And I also was in the tallest building in Tel Aviv today with a company called Elbit, and that was just another great blessing. And so we've had some really great times, and at the end of the day, to watch this young boy, you know, accept his place, I will do some great things. Um, and we are going to be headed towards tomorrow. We're staying in Jerusalem for a few days. We're going to be headed towards to uh, to Tamar, and we're gonna be doing some hopefully live things this week. I have to work that out with Ross and Seth, but just kind of to show you some other places, that we want other people to see. I mean, I think Ross has probably visited all the places we're going to go see, but many of you might not have. And I just want to share that experience. And like I said, tomorrow's a very special place for us, and we can't wait to get back there. David Connolly, who's on sometimes, I'm sure he's sleeping now, but he came up to the bar mitzvah with Tana, I think is her name. She's taking care of Blossoming Rose, and so they came up and joined us at the ascent of the Scorpions. Uh, Ross can tell you a story there about it's a scary place for real. And when you go up there with a car, I think it's closed now, but a lot of accidents, a lot of deaths happen, and crazy motorcyclists have to prove themselves by driving crazy and getting killed there. But anyways, where we found the copper. We want to go there. Ross and Dave and I. And right now it's 3:43 a.m. here, Miriam. And so like I say, I wanted to keep continuity with this. Also, next weekend, God willing, we're going to do it from tomorrow at 3 in the morning, because it's the time that we regularly schedule these things, and if it's possible, we want to do this and just also explain what we're going through. I think it's a very I think it's a very important thing to be here, and support them in a time of war. And they were so grateful. One of Simka's friends named Abner, um, he came in and just hugged me and said, "Thank you for coming to Israel." He said, we need this support." Yeah, 3:43 a.m. Yes, that's correct, Kalodi. Uh, so for us, being here and with the others, you know, what I loved was another thing that I notice, and people forget this. They think of Jews as just white Eastern Europeans, but when you go and see the people here that are all Jews, they're every color. many very dark African people looking, very African looking, Jewish. People that are Mediterranean looking, Jewish. People that are white, Jewish. And I've seen a lot of Asian people here that seem to be Jewish as well. I don't know if they're Jews. I don't ask them, but you can see. And the IDF was just full of all different colors, and the young men and women that were there were there to do some serious work. And so I'm very impressed at the integration of this society, and it's not just a bunch of um, you know white people trying to take over some Middle Eastern ground. Yes, there's a lot of white Jews, but there's Jews of all the different colors, and it's just amazing to see them work together and try to save their land. The other thing that's really big is the Bedouin are really big supporters of Israel, and you don't want to talk to a Bedouin about pro-Palestine; they want to kill you. So that's another thing I've noticed, and there are a lot of well-to-do Muslims here that love Israel and don't want it to go away. So there's a lot more on this side that's being shown in the news, so that's something that's very important and very powerful, and like I said, it's one of those things. We have to support this, and you know, I don't know the. I mean, everyone wants to think they know the end of time. You know, when the turning of these things will happen, and I don't I I'm not worried about that. This is something that has to be done now. Whether it's part of a fulfillment of prophecy or not is not mine to say. But the prophets speak loud when you're here, uh, because you can feel this heaviness. But I'm just saying, it goes back to the 10, and to get back to you know the way that we should live our lives. It's about the 10, and how we act and behave, and that's to me the most important thing. um, as I always told my family, tonight could be your Armageddon, man. We were Christians. You could walk out in that street and someone could hit you with a car and you're dead. So more important than wondering when the book of Revelation will happen in your life, worry about how you're living your life and being your person. How you are as a person. How did you follow these rules? Did you do the best you could? We all could do better probably, but I'm just saying, for us, it's about focusing on these 10 and living a life according to them. And with that comes a great solace, in my opinion, and a great things. So I just want to make sure that we got a chance to talk to everybody, and say Shabbat Shalom to everyone. And we are going to go try to go live, and we will have the candle lighting down there next time. But after you've been through a whole Orthodox Shabbat, you've had enough candle lighting and prayers. So probably an hour of it in straight. I was never looking at food so hungry in my life, because they go through an hour. But I went through it with Simcha. I wanted to learn, and I loved it. And I love you all, and I appreciate you checking in and seeing us. And like I say, we're going to put up some pictures on Discord, and we're going to probably make a video with Seth on our whole trip. We'll give him some pieces of video from all these things and just give you a synopsis of that. And like I say, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I know that Ross is going to be on 10:30 Central Time tomorrow, and we're definitely going to be watching it. And I think there'll probably be a Zoom tomorrow after that. Is that right, Ross? You can put it in the Discord there. I think there'll be a Zoom, yeah. So we'll probably give you a Zoom in at that time, and just let you know what's going on over here. And my last slide is the blessing. but you know that Patty likes to say that blessing. Um, you know, may Jehovah bless you and keep you. Jehovah make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. And Jehovah turn his face towards you and give you peace. And it's kind of from Numbers. But I hope that's for everyone. And like I said before, I pray for the peace of Jerusalem. And I'm here trying to help them. So Shabbat Shalom. We'll see you tomorrow at Ross's his lesson, his lecture. And thank you all. God bless you.